Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Daily Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. Today it is March the 10th, Wednesday. Joining me today, Cheryl Todd. Cheryl is one of the two people behind Gun Freedom Radio. Cheryl, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. You are so generous to keep asking me, and our stars finally aligned. So
Yes.
This is very exciting for me.
Very cool. And for those of you that don't know, Cheryl is one of the people that helps me out, and thank goodness she helps me out with AmCon. She's involved in a lot of the stuff that goes on with the whole planning and arranging of everything AmCon, which is a Second Amendment media conference that happens every fall. And we talk or text or something quite often, but it's so rare that our schedules get together and we can do something like this that I'm pleased as punch we can finally get that done. Let me go ahead and turn on the social media posts here, find out what people are saying. Cheryl, there are two stories that I really wanted to talk about today. First one is one of your representatives out of Arizona, Gosar, introduces the GRIP Act to ban federal funds for state firearms registries. I don't think this thing's got a prayer of passing, but it does move the Overton window, so to speak. It does put it in the public's view that, hey, there are two sides to the story, and this should happen.
Absolutely. Paul Gosar is really a champion for the Second Amendment, and I'm proud to know him. I'm not in his district, unfortunately, but we do have a great relationship. He's been a guest on Gun Freedom Radio several times, and he is always at the forefront of trying to protect the Second Amendment, but also keep these kinds of things in the forefront of people's minds and in conversation. He was part of the Second Amendment coalition, I believe it was, at the federal level. And so he really knows his stuff, and he puts his money where his mouth is. And, I agree with you. This Gun Owner Registration Information Protection Act, this GRIP Act, I mean, it could just be symbolic, but I would rather that we have things like this happening rather than us just kind of sitting back and constantly being reactive to the things that the other side does that very often are just symbolic. But it's very disheartening when it seems like the ball is constantly in the anti-rights people's courts. And so, and if there is a chance that this thing gets some traction, then all the better, because who loves lists more than the left? Who loves lists more than the people who hate our rights? And, anything that tries to put us on one of those lists, we really should be giving whatever pushback we possibly can.
Absolutely. And I've said, I think I brought this up last week. I do so many shows. I do know I've talked about it, just can't remember whether it was last week or the week before. But I have talked recently about this, and I would love to see a representative or a senator go ahead and pop off a bill introduce a bill in either the Senate or the House that nullifies all federal gun regulations going back to the 1934 Gun Control Act. I would love to see, if we're talking about moving the Overton window, we need something that moves it in our direction as well. Something that really doesn't have much of a chance of passing, but it gets it in the public's view that, hey, this is possible.
Absolutely. And Thomas Massey out of Kentucky is actually very good at that sort of thing. He has proposed 2 or 3 bills that are just as ambitious from a rights standpoint as the anti-rights crowd can be from their standpoint. And, they haven't, Thomas Massey's bills haven't gotten any traction. But again, it's one of those things that it's good to have in the conversation, and it's good for the other side to see that these big asks, these big moves, these big negotiation tactics, for lack of a better word, are not only their property. We can do it on our side as well. And I agree with you. If we did more of that, I think that Overton window that you're talking about, the things that become the norm, I think we'd start pushing that window back towards where our founders intended for it to be when they wrote us our recipe book, right?
Absolutely. I want to get a couple of social media comments in here. We've got some great comments in already. The symbolic small victories move the Overton window both ways. We need to do that as often as possible. And that was Pete from Gun Websites. And that's what we were just talking about. Let me bring up one more. Cheryl over on Facebook says, hello from Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, where even throwing snowballs is illegal.
Well, if you do it with both hands, then that's probably like full auto, right? So.
Exactly.
That is just crazy. Well, hello to Cheryl, and absolutely always hello to Pete. He is such a champion, always keeping the conversation running out there. So we appreciate you, Pete.
Then Craig says, we need a double jeopardy bill that will put gun control clowns out of business. Again, that's just getting it introduced. I don't think that's a likelihood of actually becoming law in the near future, but I think it's important to get these kind of things introduced. One more, and then we're going to move on to our next story. And this is kind of a topic change here, and that is, we need major 2A help here in New Jersey, says Miles over on Facebook. Miles, you aren't kidding. I'm going to give you a little bit of hope, though, bud. My boss, Alan Gottlieb of the Second Amendment Foundation, has got several lawsuits. We got like 35 lawsuits active right now, and at least 2 of them are about New Jersey and filed against New Jersey. So I can't offer you much hope for your state laws from your legislature, but I can offer you hope from the courts. So
well, and I agree with that. And also NJ2AS, they're pretty aggressive in how they protect the bills that are going through and keep an eye on the bills that are going through. But I cannot hear the words New Jersey without thinking about the governor. What is his name? Phil. Shoot,
Murphy?
His last name
Murphy?
is Phil Murphy.
Yes.
Saying with a straight face, looking into the camera, that the Constitution is above his pay grade. And that is just ingrained in my mind forever. And, it could go 2 ways. Now, he meant it like, I can't consider the Constitution when I'm, locking down businesses and instituting, mask mandates and that sort of thing. But then the other side of it is I'm sort of like, it is above your pay grade because you can't go monkeying with it, Mr. whoever he is. Is he a mayor, governor? I forget.
Governor,
I think he's the governor. So, but yeah, Danny and I talk about that guy and how charming he is on Gun Freedom Radio quite a bit. He's always good for a giggle.
John Petrolino says, Governor Free Stuff Murphy.
Free stuff.
Yeah.
What is this free word I keep hearing? Because
it means that you and I pay for it, Cheryl. That's what it means.
Exactly. Every time I hear it, my wallet contracts a little bit. So.
All right. And I want to thank you, everybody, for commenting. Please keep the comments coming. As usual, we've got, almost 50 comments coming in the first 9 minutes we've been on the air. That's awesome. Keep them coming. We're going to discuss one more story here, and then the rest of the 30 minutes is on you folks. We'll discuss whatever you want us to, but let me go ahead, and I'm going to pop that, and I'm going to bring this up. Kansas House passes bill to lower concealed carry age to 18. That's off of Breitbart. Right now, if you're in Kansas and you're between 18 and 21, you can open carry, but you cannot concealed carry. I would say that this is just a common sense bill. If you're 18, you can join the military, fight and die for your country, and you can open carry, but there's some magical talisman that you're going to do evil if you put a shirt over your gun.
That's exactly it. When I was reading the comments here by Democrat State Representative Stephanie Clayton, she suggested people who carry guns think they could be the hero and shoot someone in the thigh to disarm the shooter and save tons of lives. But it goes so fast. So I'm just looking at this, and it's the typical straw man argument, right? This could happen scenario. And it's based in so much ignorance with how you can tell that she probably has never taken any kind of firearms training or invested herself in trying to understand the topic that she is weighing in on and trying to enact laws or prevent laws from being enacted. And, this whole thing about, someone could be more inclined just because it's concealed and they're less inclined if it's open carry. The whole thing just falls apart completely. And, just even that she's got this scenario really detailed in her mind, they could shoot somebody where? In the thigh. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And guess where the main artery, one of the main arteries in your body, you shoot somebody in the thigh, you cut that artery, you got about 45 to 90 seconds to live.
That is true, but it's just so laughable. And then, here in Arizona, we have had not only, concealed carry has been legal, but constitutional carry. We don't have to go through any special permission systems in order to carry a firearm any which way we choose to. And we are a real-life, real-time experiment in how that really plays out. I would invite Democratic State Representative Stephanie Clayton to invest herself in seeing how it goes here in the real world in Arizona. And our crime statistics have consistently come down. And we're a border state. We have all the same issues that everybody else does. People rob liquor stores and, all sorts of things out here. And somehow the police are never confused about who the bad guy is. And other citizens are never drawing down on each other because they're confused about who the bad guy is. And these are straw man arguments that come up all the time. And I will say that just a few weeks ago, on Saturday, February 20th, we had a Celebrate and Protect the Second Amendment rally. We like to use the word event because people get all nervous and pearl clutchy over the word rally these days. We had we can't seem to get our official count from the Department of Justice, DPS, Department of Public Safety. They normally have given that to us like the day of, and for some reason they can't seem to manage to give us the number this year. But we estimate easily 4,000 to 5,000, maybe even more, people, families, children, people of all ages, all backgrounds, most of them carrying at least one firearm, some open, some concealed, and nobody so much as chipped a nail. It was a beautiful day. Everyone was absolutely safe. We had a junior Patriot Park, so kids were getting face painting and playing games and winning prizes. We had tons of speakers. We had 70 vendors set up. So this whole notion that the minute somebody has a gun, and then they conceal it, now, it's the Wild West and everybody's just going to, be, inclined to shoot each other in the thigh. It's right. Just laughable and ridiculous.
A couple more social media comments I want to get in here because we've got some great ones. Guns and Barbecue says, not to mention the legal ramifications that will be incurred for shooting to injure. You mean your life wasn't in enough danger to take your attacker's life? Yeah, guns are a self-defense of the last resort tool. You only use it if you have no other option. And if you're aiming to shoot somebody in the leg, it can absolutely be inferred that the danger wasn't high enough that you needed to use your gun at all. DJ Plainice obviously has more recent training than I have in medical terms, because he reminded me that it was the femoral artery that runs down the leg. I knew that, it just, my brain wasn't working quite right.
That's
gun
why
websites,
we need you out there.
Gun website says, question, Cheryl, Paul, you both interview and work with so many 2A folks. What would you each consider to be the top 3 things to support in 2021? Cheryl, I'm going to let you have first crack at that one.
So I love that, Pete, because you left it very open for me to answer any way I want to, right? What top 3 things to support? So definitely find your state organization, the organization that is really, really working in the legislature. Not just somebody that's fundraising, not just somebody that throws around a lot of fancy words, but is actually doing the work. Here in Arizona, it's the AZCDL. It's easy for us. They are the guard dogs in the legislature. They are fighting back bad bills. They are helping write good bills. And so support your state organization that's doing something. That's thing 1. Thing 2, don't just join an organization. You have to commit yourself to reaching out to your elected officials. And it is getting easier and easier every single day. The AZCDL sends us out pre-written emails. All we have to do is, if we want to alter the email, we can, or if we just want to click it on through and send it to, they even direct it to the right person. So that's important. And not just your federal elected officials, but also your state officials. You really have to be invested at every single level. Everybody that gets voted on, from the school board, holy moly, stuff is going on at our schools that is making your hair curl. The dog catcher, I don't know what the dog catchers are doing, but pay attention to them too. Your city council, your mayor, on up, your governor, all of them need your time and attention and need to hear from you, because if this is a representative government, we can't expect them to represent us if we never speak up. The other side, they're never taking any naps. They're speaking up all the time. And then we get confused and wonder, why are we not represented? Because we are the silent majority, and we've got to stop being silent. Thing number 3, find a source of information that is not just that you trust, but that is trustworthy. A program like this, the work that Paul Lathrop does, they are bringing you the straight scoop. They're not spinning it. You don't have to guess if the headline is just clickbait. They are giving it to you exactly straight, what is happening in every state all the time, and you've got to find those trusted sources of information to feed your brain, so that when you are speaking out to your sphere of influence, okay, I'll do 4. Sorry, I broke the rule,
Sure.
Pete, but you've met me, so you know that's going to happen. The 4th thing is to then take the information and share it with your sphere of influence. Be brave. You don't have to be in people's faces. You don't have to cause arguments, but lean into them, be curious about them, and that will open an opportunity for them to be curious about you, and then you can share the information that you have learned. And truly, the needles towards freedom and liberty have been moved more in that way, and inviting people out to the range for a safe time, shooting firearms, than any Facebook argument or sharing of a meme. I'm
gonna be very close to what you did. I'm going to first of all say, and this is totally self-serving, but I truly believe it, you need to please support the Second Amendment Foundation. We are taking states, cities, and the federal government to court left, right, and center. We are truly fighting for your rights everywhere they can be fought for. We have currently, I believe, like I said earlier, 36 cases. It's 35, 36 cases that are active, with more being added all the time. I think it is 36 because we just filed, along with ISRA, we filed late last week for the state of Illinois delaying the issuance of both FOID cards and concealed carry permits. Second thing, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to echo what Cheryl just said, and I've said this on the air before as well. You need to be in constant contact with your elected representatives, state, local, and federal. Trust me when I tell you, and I'm not exaggerating, when I call the House member that I have here in South Dakota, when I call that office, they know me by voice before I ever say who I am. You need to be that active. Emails are great. Emails can be just a tick mark and logged. Take some of their time. Talk to them on the phone. You'll never get your rep or your senator. You may get your state senator or your state house representative, but you need to be talking to these people. I cannot agree with Cheryl more. You need to let them know what you think. Even if you're in California, even if you're in New Jersey, you need. Is that one voice going to make a difference? No, but if thousands of you do, then is where the difference makes. Let me go ahead and go. And third one, let me see. Third one you need to support. I guess I kind of combined the state and federal and local into one. Again, Cheryl, thanks for the recommendation, but I want to throw Cheryl Todd's Gun Freedom Radio in there and a trusted source. We have a whole network of podcasts called the Self-Defense Radio Network. I would say you could easily trust any of those in there, but find a source that, let's face it, if you go to a news source and they spin you once, go away. If you find something untrustworthy, that means everything you're getting from them in the future could be untrustworthy. Do away with it. Go somewhere else. It wasn't
even if they're spinning it. Even if they're spinning it, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but if they're spinning it in a direction you like, and they're putting candy in your ear, they're still spinning you.
Yes. Yes. So I pride myself, and I have since I started this tiny little podcast called Politics and Guns back, almost 10 years ago now. A little over 9 years ago. But anyway, I've always prided myself in giving just straight information. You make up your own mind. I'll give you my opinion, but you make your own. I have got to go back because some of the comments in here have just been amazing, and I fell behind in my getting to them. Let's see.
I found one that I'd like to answer. I don't know if you can find it to put it on the screen.
Go
Ed
for it.
Parent says, I'm not blaming you guys when I say this, but why did the generations of my parents and grandparents let all of these gun control laws be passed over the years? Boy, that is just apathy. It is this idea that, we've got the Constitution on our side, so therefore we're cool. That happens in Arizona a lot. And now, after this last election, we have both of our state senators are Democrats, because Arizona, and neither one of them are a friend to the Second Amendment, no matter what their websites try to tell you. But people in Arizona have had this idea that, well, shoot, we're Arizona. We're good. Nobody's going to take our rights. And, if somebody tries, somebody will take care of it. Somebody will fix it. Well, we have come way too close to the line of no return, and we cannot operate that way anymore. We also, I'm not going to throw any gun rights organization under the bus by name, but we have in the past allowed organizations to negotiate and compromise, and maybe they really, really thought they were doing the very best they could. And I wasn't there, so I really can't throw mud on it and criticize it. But the way that the anti-rights group works is just like they are what's happening right now. They've got this HR 127 and this HR 8 and this HR 30 and this HR 1446, I think it is.
Yeah.
And there's such massive tidal waves of overreach and infringements, and my brain that does bargaining, what I hear is these are just bargaining chips, and they know there's no way that all this is going through. I mean, I hope we know that, but in the past when that's happened, the organizations that have gone in there and done the negotiations, instead of basically saying, okay, chicken, right? Okay, try it. They've said, oh, well, if we don't compromise, if we don't give on this thing, then they're going to take everything. And I wasn't there. I can't really criticize, but I don't think that was a reasonable line of negotiation, because what does this document say? This document says shall not be infringed, period. There's no asterisks there. And I don't believe that we had to give up something to keep most of it. And I don't.
All right, I'm sorry, was that external?
Yeah, I didn't say it. I don't even know what organization I might even be talking about, but we have to do better. And that is one of the things, going back to your point, Paul, that I so appreciate about the Second Amendment Foundation is they're not in there, negotiating things. They are going all the way to the mats. They are saying they're taking these legislations, these bills into the courts, and not saying, well, you know what, we'll compromise on this. And they're like, no, this is wrong. There is no standing for it, and we are going to go to the mats on it. And so that is the kind of attitude and backbone that we need on the rights side.
Couple of social media comments that we've gotten. I got to be honest with you folks, I will never get them all. We've got over 100 comments between Facebook and YouTube. I'm never going to get to them all. I'm going to get to a few of them. Warsaw Patriot says, Paul, I hate to interrupt. He sent this a while ago, but I did save it. I hate to interrupt, but we need to support Joe Manchin on not removing the filibuster tomorrow. That is a big one. If they remove this filibuster, it's Katie bar the door, and some of this stuff really could happen. But I don't say will, could, because we need to, no matter, yes, support Joe Manchin, but also be calling your senators. I will be calling my senators tomorrow as well. Both of them are Republicans. Both of them are strong Second Amendment supporters, but I want to keep it that way. Let's see here. John Pentrolino said, at Gun Freedom Radio, yes!
Gun Freedom Radio. Spelled out. I love it.
Matt says, Matthew Pawlowski says, why did they think they had the power to take everything? Well, simply because, I mean, honestly, if we look back all the way to the 1930s, and I believe real gun control started with the 1934 Gun Control Act. There was some before, but it was localized. But on the federal level, going back to 1934, they always put out something extreme, and then they get something less. And they put out something extreme, and they get something less. It's a long history of them thinking that I don't think they ever think they're going to get what they're going for. But they put out something extreme because they know if they pull it back a little bit, they're going to get something less.
Absolutely.
Let's see here.
From your calendar. Starts in 30
I don't see a whole lot else, but I do look at the clock and I realize, Cheryl, we're past our
We
time.
did it. I know. How come we're always late when I'm involved? I don't understand this.
It's just because I got into the conversation and I didn't watch the clock as closely as I should. But before we take off, I do want to impose on you. Would you tell everybody a little bit about Gun Freedom Radio and how they can find you?
Thank you so much for asking. Yes, we, my husband Danny and I do have an interview-based show. We bring you subject matter experts in a huge, wide variety of expert areas of expertise, and we are a podcast style now. We've gone through several different iterations. Used to be a live radio show, but now we're podcast style. So you can find all of our shows on either the OpsLens smartphone app, on YouTube until they kick us off for, saying the G word, guns, and on gunstreamer.com. Or if you want to listen to the audio version, go to gunfreedomradio.com, click the On Demand tab, and binge listen to your heart's content. All of the shows that we have there, and of course we are on all of the Twitters and Facebooks and Instagrams and all those fun things.
Absolutely. And I do want to mention you can find her show as well up at selfdefenseradio.net. Plug in for the network. All right. Folks, I do want to thank you for watching and commenting, and the comments still keep flying in. I'm not going to be able to get to any more of them because we are late getting out of here. But thank you so much for watching. Come join us tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central Time, the only time zone that matters. My guest tomorrow is going to be Amy Dillon, and we'll be doing what we did today, talking about the news of the day.